in the UK curriculum that's studied in the UAE, students need to pass a minimum of 5 IGCSEs at the end of grade 10. Those 5 IGCSEs must be qualifying IGCSEs. For example, PE IGCSE and Arabic IGCSE do not qualify for UAE equivalency, but they are IGCSEs. You still get the IGCSE, but for UAE high school equivalency, you must get 5 qualifying, and Arabic is not one of those qualifying subjects. So the MOE says we must study a number of subjects, and those subjects include English, maths, and science, but also, Arabic for Arabic students, only up to grade 9 for non-Arabic students. All students must also study Islamic if they're Muslim students, moral education, social studies, and we also offer physical exercise and well-being. Moral education, social studies, and Islamic studies are not IGCSE. That's something that students just have to learn. Arabic, they can do IGCSE Arabic, but it does not form one of the 5 IGCSEs for equivalency. Do we have any parents whose students are going to Egypt to study in Egypt? Okay, no problem, because in Egypt the universities want 8 IGCSEs. So depending on where your children will be studying, we need to think now and plan for the IGCSEs that they do and also how many IGCSEs they will do. Everything okay so far?
Yeah, can you talk about UK, if we go to UK?
Yeah, so for most universities, they will set their own entry requirements. So for example, in the UAE, usually you need a high school equivalency, which is 5 IGCSEs and 2 A-levels. In the UK, each individual university will be different. So if you wanted to do medicine, they will probably need 3 A-levels, and I don't know how many IGCSEs, but they will definitely have to have maths and English IGCSE. So what I would recommend is if you know where your student will be studying or you know where your child will be studying, thank you, contact the university or universities that they are interested in, find out the entry requirements for a British international school in the UAE, and then you can start to plan what GCSEs, how many GCSEs, what A-levels, how many A-levels. So all of our students, particularly in grade 8, have access to something called Unifrog, which is a really useful online platform that allows them to do lots of investigation. And they can look at what careers they're interested in. And then our suggestion is always that we look at what they want to do and then work backwards so that we do today what is the right thing to get them where they want to be. So if you know that your child is interested in engineering, they're going to have to do maths and physics. But first of all, we have to have that discussion with the children and say, okay, what are you interested in? Most children say, I don't know. I want to be an influencer. So we all have to work together and that's fine. Yes, it's fine. That's what they want to do. But we all have to work together to try to focus our students' minds, your children's minds, so that they start to have a pathway, a clear pathway, so that they know the next step on their journey to get to that pathway, and that starts with IGCSE. Do we have any questions? So, yes?
What is exactly A-levels and IGCSE?
Yeah. So IGCSE is 2 years, grades 9 and 10. A-level is 2 years, grade 11 and 12. Yeah. So the IGCSE is 2 years with 1 exam at the end. A-level is 2 years with 1 exam at the end of the first year and another exam at the end of the second year. At the end of the first year, at the end of grade 11, the exams are called AS. And it used to be in the UAE that AS was enough to get high school equivalency. But recently, the MOE changed the rules, so now you must do AS and you must also do the second year full A-level.
Subjects we choose now will be only till 10th or till 12th?
Good question. So for IGCSE, they must do English, maths and science. Right. But at A-level, they can choose anything. They can do any subjects. They can do English, they can do maths.
Only one subject is there?
We recommend they do at least 2 because you need a minimum of 2 A levels for UAE equivalency.
Abroad?
Abroad, check with the university. I know that there are universities in Spain and universities in Holland that say 2 is okay. Most British universities will do 3, but find out because each university is different.
And if they go back to India?
If they go back to
India?
Then find out from the Indian universities. Each jurisdiction, each country will have their own rules, and we're not. Whilst we know the general rules for the country, each university will have different expectations. For example, if your child is studying film, they may only need 1 A level. If they're studying to be a doctor, they may need 4 A levels. If they're going to Oxford or Cambridge, so it depends on the university. And sometimes those universities, they'll change each year their entry requirements because they'll have a formula to say, right, we've got this many lecturers, we need this many students, this is how much money we need to make. And these what we think the entry requirements should be.
So if they need 4 A levels, how will they do in 2 years? Because they only 2 A levels.
No, we can do 4 A levels if they are able, if they're strong enough, if they're strong students, we can offer 4 A levels. So
5 subjects.
4 subjects. One subject is 1 A level. Yeah.
And that will be only done in 11th and 12th.
Yes.
So if our country requires 5, so we have to do those 5 in 2 years.
No one requires 5. 4 will be the maximum. No one will require 5. Yes.
I understand that IGCSE starts on G9, as you said, and the kids already choose the subject they want to study. There is any chance that they can add or change some subjects during the pack?
So generally, no. The reason is, in the first week or so, if there's a good reason, we can talk about it. But if after 1 term they decide to change, then they're going to go into a new subject and they've missed 1 term of work. That could be 1/5 of the whole syllabus, and that puts them under a lot of pressure. Which is why it's really important that we do the research now, we do the talking now, and we make the right decision from day 1 so that it suits them from here, where they are today, and it suits them for the next 2 years and in their career completely. We understand there are situations where there may be circumstances that are specific or particular to a certain situation, and we can have that discussion with parents, the teachers, and the student at that time. But we would recommend that we get the decision right by doing the correct research now and getting all the knowledge we need now. Yeah.
So I will go back to what you said about asking the universities about what they need. So in general, like only in UK, I'm talking. We are thinking to finish the GCSE here and then go back to UK to do the A levels. So what I'm asking, generally, is what you're doing here, like 5 subjects, compulsory subjects, plus 2
Yes.
optional. Are these enough to do in any university, or
Yes.
it's different between universities? Because we can't guarantee which university he's going. It depends on what he's going to get with his results when he finished the GCSE.
So you probably know a little bit more about this than I do. I'll just hand you over to Ms. Siobhan.
Yes, so every British curriculum school follows the same path. So the 5 compulsory that we do is standard across the whole world.
Yes.
If he has a specific career in mind, we will give him the advice probably best to pick these subjects as your optional choices, because then they lead on to these A levels. Universities will look at the A level, so what they do in grade 11 and grade 12. Some universities also look at the GCSE. So for example, some universities for medicine would ask that you studied triple science at GCSE. Not all, but again, if you want to do engineering, you're going to need a physics and a maths A level. To get into those A levels, you will have had to have done the maths and some physics at GCSE, which we offer. So please don't worry that they're going to get somewhere and be told, oh, you can't do this, unless they apply to do French at university and they've never done French in their life.
Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of segmented. So you've got 2 years IGCSE, 2 years at A level, and then application to university.
I'm just asking because I asked my friends there, and they said that they have 9 subjects within the GCSE. So I was shocked. We are doing only 7 subjects. So So this is enough for him to go to A level.
5 is the minimum, yeah. So they
Okay.
have to do 5. Okay, so we make sure they do the 5. If your son or daughter is extremely bright and wants to do additional to that 7, then it's something we can definitely look at.
If it's
Ah.
enough, if it's enough, if it's like enough, then that's it. But I want to make sure it's enough. Like
The reason that we do 7 and some schools might do 9, I did 11 when I'm old now, but I did 11, is just what we concentrate on is they get excellent grades in those GCSEs. So if you have fewer subjects, you can focus more rather than be wider spread and a bit too thinly spread. We also are aware that for a lot of our students, English is not their first language. So we try to give them that support in English alongside studying for those IGCSEs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks so
To
much.
A levels, might in 11th and 12th they require English as a compulsory subject.
No, not
Back
at
in our
A-level.
country.
If maybe in your country, we can have a look at that. Have a look at the university because an A level is a specific study of English. It isn't like talking English. It's specific. I'm an English teacher,
Yeah,
so
right. The literature as a language and a literature may be a compulsory subject that you have to do. Science and maths are optional that you have to, if you want to go for engineering and maths or bio or a doctor or something.
Yeah.
Then business studies and all that comes up, commerce and everything comes according to what the line you want to choose.
Yeah.
So there are actually 5 subjects in 11th and 12th, including the first language, second language, and the 3 optionals.
Okay.
So that is how I was just figuring it out. If they are English compulsory here too, or it's only till 9th and 10th that we do this, and then choose only 2 subjects for 11th and 12th.
Minimum
Well,
of
they
2.
can choose up to 4 subjects.
Yeah.
Up to 4. So for the grade 9 and 10, IGC, English is compulsory, and your child will either do first language English or second language English. They're the same.
So what's the difference between first language English and second language?
The assessment is different. So second language English is designed for students who are learning new to English in the last 2 or 3 years. Anybody who's been speaking English for longer than that will probably sit the first language. But they're accepted the same. They're still IGCSE the same. Then when your son or daughter chooses the A level, we do minimum 2, but they can do up to 4. It depends on the capacity of the student, on the innate ability of the student as well. We would give that guidance.
But the subjects will be the same.
No, different. And the more students we get, the more subjects we can offer at A level. Yes.
ICT and design.
Sorry. Pardon?
ICT.
I'll talk about this in a second, and I'll move on to this and talk through this. So you.
I don't know if you're going to cover my question, but what I'm asking, so for the people who's doing English as a first language, what do you offer for them more with the GCSE? I'm not talking about the A level. So what you teach them more than the others?
It's a completely different course.
Okay.
It's a different course.
Yes.
It's completely. So it still both teach reading and writing. The second language teaches more speaking as well and listening, but the first language doesn't do that because it's normally the children have been speaking language for a lot longer. Please don't get distracted with that. We, as the teachers, the heads of English, they will decide which is best along with our support team as well. So
Thank you.
we'll let you know.
Cool. Thank
Any
you.
more questions? Yeah.
I want to ask about grade 13. If they complete the subject on grade 12, did they need to complete 13 and also study 13?
No. So there's 2 sort of scales. There's the year, where you go year 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and grade that only finishes to 12. So the difference is that in the year system, you start with KG, year 1, year 2, year 3. In the grade system, you have KG1, KG2, then grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. So both systems do 13 years, but in the grade system, you do KG1, KG2, and then your 3rd year of school is grade 1, then grade 2, then grade 3. So you both have 13 years of schooling, but one's just called grade and one's called years. So previously, when the school started, it was called grades, but students were put in a different grade, group. But from now, all of our students will finish at grade 12. And then they've done 2 years IGCSE, 2 years A-level, finish A-level in grade 12. There's nothing left. There's no grade 13. There's nothing to do. Everything's halas. Does that?
Now it's done for 13 years, also no need to.
So, no, so grade 12 and year 13, they're the same thing.
Yes.
So grade 12, year 13, they're the same year. It's when the student is 17, 18, the same year. It's just that our system finishes at, we call it 12, traditional British curriculum call it 13.
Yes.
So this system only in Jewish school or other?
No, it's
No,
it's
they-
a US system, really,
yeah.
and a local ministry system as well. So this is why we follow that grade. We just call it grade, and traditional British curriculum call it year.
Yeah.
But they're the same. They're exactly the same. They finish at the same time.
Yeah. Everybody does 13 years in total. Yeah. Cool. Good question, because that can be confusing. Yes.
What is the difference between indexed and CI?
Sorry, difference in?
They're just exam boards. They're just different names for the same thing. So they test the same skills. They test the same assessment objectives. They're just different specifications exam boards, and they charge different amounts of money. That's the only change.
So the British government had said, because there used to be lots of exam boards, almost each county had their own exam board, and so the government said, right, you have permission to be exam board, you have permission to be exam board. So Pearson have permission, Cambridge, there's AQA, they all have permission, and they all pretty much do the same thing. But like Siobhan said, some charge a little bit more. There may be some slight more focus in algebra in one than geometry in the other, say, but basically the same.
But when they apply to university, none of these looked on more favourably than the other. They're all the standards. They're all the same.
Any more questions before we carry on? Okay. So we talked about the core subjects, the subjects we must do. So at IGCSE, just to recap, they must do an English, they must do maths, and they must do some science. Some can do double science, some do triple science. Then they choose 2 additional subjects. And these are the list of subjects they can choose. So I'll allow you to have a look at that. Now, as I said before, this is an IGCSE subject, but it doesn't count towards UAE equivalency. Some students, we can offer extra English, but it's difficult because it takes time, but there's no qualifications. You don't get any IGCSE at the end of it. Any questions? How is IGCSE graded? What are the mark schemes like? So when we were at school, we would get A, B, C, D, E, but now what they do is they'll give you a number. So at the moment, to pass your IGCSE in the UAE, you need a grade 3. That might change, but right now, you aim for a grade 3. Obviously, we'd expect students to aim as high as they can.
What I would just say is that is different from different countries. So in the UK, it will be grade 4.
Yeah.
In the US, in Europe, it would be grade 4 is a passing grade. So it used to be the old grade C, which here is now either 4 or 5, a standard pass or a strong pass. But this is the cut-off line for most other countries outside of this region. Okay? So when you're speaking to your children, I mean, we're aiming for 9, but they should get 4.
And again, just to highlight, we don't mark. It's sent to the UK, they mark it over there. So,
The exams start from grade 9 or 10?
grade 10. At the end of grade 10, May, June, grade 10. So, again, this is the advice that we give, that we know that studying in the UAE, most universities would like you to get high school equivalency. So most universities in the UAE say 5 IGCSE passes, 2 A-level passes. If it's overseas, we don't have all the information about every single university. So this is why we would like to speak to you and for you to do your homework now. So if you're thinking of going to the UK, you make sure that the correct choices are made to ensure that your child gets into the UK. If you're thinking of India or America or Canada, contact those universities. Universities are really good at information. They want to make money. They will give you the information you need and give you all the stuff and make sure that they're selling their university. So contact them as soon as you can. Okay, now I said this right at the beginning, but it's really important we understand this. We must pass maths, at least one science. We offer 3 sciences, and also pass 1 English, either English literature or English language. Now, a piece of paper's gone round. I know this is a lot of information, but hopefully we've got your email addresses, and I will send you this in English and Arabic, and we'll also give you a little booklet to take away as well, so you have all this information. And if you have any questions, you can contact us. So, must I do IGCSEs? If you are in a British International School System, yes. Must do IGCSEs. If your child only passes 4 IGCSEs, then you'll have to resit, or your child will have to sit until they pass 5. Really important we understand this. Now, we do a lot of assessing of students, so we know exactly where they are. If they are not where they should be, we offer intervention classes, and those intervention classes start on February the 6th. We do termly assessments, where they do an IGCSE level assessment, and we know exactly where they are in the context of the IGCSE syllabus. At the end of each topic, we also do a little, what we call a low stakes assessment. We don't want to stress anybody out by doing exams all the time, but we do a little low stakes assessment at the end of a topic, so we know their strengths and weaknesses in a topic. So we know exactly how students are going.
So is that only on grade 10? You're doing the...
Grade 9 and 10.
I mean, you said on April you do like for 1-to-1 if they don't get the...
Just for grade 10, yeah.
Grade 10.
Yeah, just for grade 10, yeah. From February the 6th, it's just grade 10, 11 and 12. So we recommend that all students study at least 7 IGCSEs. I know that some students will do Arabic and extra English, which means if they're doing Arabic and extra English and maybe they're doing English, maths and double science, they're not going to get UA equivalency. So it's really important that we understand that, yes, I want my child to be good at English, but if doing extra English means they're not going to get UA equivalency, then we have to look at the big picture and say, actually, we want to make sure that we get the minimum 5 IGCSEs.
When you said that we need at least 5 IGCSEs, science, you said you give 3 science.
Up to 3, yes.
Math?
Yep.
Chemistry and physics.
Chemistry, biology, physics are the 3 sciences.
But this science, each counts as 1 IGCSE?
Yes.
Or science is only 1 subject in
No,
IGCSE?
correct, you were correct. Biology, chemistry, physics equals 3 sciences.
3 separate
3
IGCSE
separate
subjects.
IGCSE awarded subjects. Yes, 3 separate items. Yeah.
And this, there is some guys that are in double.
Yes. Okay.
Double and
Yeah, and
triple.
then so they'll get 2. So triple science means biology, chemistry, physics, 3 separate GCSEs. So when they write their CV, they can put biology grade, chemistry grade, physics grade. Double award is for students of maybe a lower ability who need more focus on the 2. So they will get 2 GCSEs.
And
there will still be 2 separate ones.
And you're right, for English, if you're doing triple, they call it, you'll have physics, biology, chemistry. Double is just called a double science award.
Because you still study those 3 things, but there's a bit less content on each, so it's just double science.
Yeah.
So we've got double science grade 4. So that's worth 2. Triple
Yes.
science separate is worth 3.
Yeah, so the double is still worth 2, the triple is worth 3. Good question.
Okay, what about the additional math? If you want to take the additional math.
So at the moment we don't offer add maths. As we grow and we can diversify our curriculum, I'm pretty sure we will offer add maths. So in maths, there are again 2 streams, higher maths and foundation maths. For some students, higher maths is better for them. They need to be stretched and challenged. For some students, they need more support. Foundation maths is better. And what we do is we look at the data throughout grade 8 and we'll make a recommendation to say they've got a much better chance here, or we need to be stretching and challenging them up here.
How do you do this survey? You check with the guys who make some tests or something?
So what we do is so every 3-ish weeks, we do a topic assessment, and that data goes into our systems. At the end of the term, we do an assessment over everything they've done that term. And then we also have teacher assessments twice a term that looks at the skills. We then triangulate that with the stuff that we have to do for the UAE, the national parameters. So they do testing in maths, and they also do testing that tells us their general ability, that's called Cat 4s. So we have about 6 different types of data that we triangulate to say, okay, so this is more likely where they're going to have success here or here.
Would you share that with the parents to make them
We're-
see what kind of career
Yeah.
they would like to do?
So when we have sort of parents' evening, or if you want to meet with myself or Miss Siobhan, we can do that. So what we've done so far is that the second Monday back, I did a presentation similar to this for all the students. And then Miss Siobhan, would you like to share what you did the week after?
Yeah, so on Monday this week, I met with all of grade 8, the boys and the girls, and we went through discussions of a similar kind. And they'll also get a copy, they've had a copy of the booklet that tells them the different subjects. And in that assembly, I spoke with them about, although this seems like a long way in the future, the decisions they make now will have an impact for the rest of their life. And equivalency is something we touched upon, because a student might now think, well, I don't want to stay in the UAE, but then when they're 36 years old, like I was, think, I really want to work in the UAE, and they have to have that equivalency. So what we did in that assembly was to give them that information so it drips through, and then we're giving you the information so you can support that at home as well, to give them that well-rounded picture of making good choices and picking subjects that, yes, they enjoy, but also that they are good at and they can succeed in. And I also showed them the Unifrog platform, which Prav touched upon, and they will have a login to that tomorrow. So as Prav said, Unifrog enables them to go and see different career choices, different subjects, to look at what grades they might need to be an astrophysicist or any types of jobs. So it's really brilliant that you've come with us today. So then you have the same information that your children have. Then you can work with us as a school. We make that perfect triangle of support.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what the question, the answer is not really clear. I was asking about, will you share the data that you gathered, that this might be the correct line for the
Student performance data, you mean the student assessment data?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you do get a report card based on the exams that the students sit at the end of the winter term and then in the summer term, yes?
Yeah.
So
That is different.
it is very different, and this is a lot of the stuff that we speak about as a team as to what information a parent needs to help them make choices at this stage. So if you want those grades, you are welcome to speak to the class teachers, to phone the teacher, email the teacher, say how is.
We've got that grades. We know where our student lies. We know where a child is. She might be very good at something, but her interest is something else. So that is the reason that there's some psychological test or some IQ test or something for the career counseling.
So on Unifrog, it has that.
Yeah.
So when you get access to this Unifrog platform, you can sit with your son or daughter, and on that platform there is a I don't like the word psychometrics, I feel like it puts a lot of stress on a student. But there is a career personality test on there, and there is a personality profile. There's also a place on there where you can they can list their interests, they can upload any certificates that they've got. So this is a whole platform that helps them look deep inside and think, what do I want to do for the next 2 years, 4 years, 10 years? And we all know there's research that says a child will now have 17 different jobs in their life. It's not going to be like us who train to do one thing and then maybe have done 2 or 3 things. They might do 17 different things. So all of that stuff is on Unifrog. So they will have that log on tomorrow. The child will get it tomorrow. Yeah. So tell them to bring a device tomorrow, one that they can access the internet.
So just to reiterate some important points, thank you by the way. 5 IGCSEs, we must get the MOE will want everyone to get 5 IGCSEs, or they'll have to resit, or if they're going to change school, they may have to repeat the year. A-levels. So once they have finished their 5 IGCSEs, they'll do A-levels. Minimum of 2, maximum of 4. You should really study A-levels in the subjects that you've already done an IGCSE. So if you have done IGCSE business, do A-level business. If you haven't done IGCSE business, Generally, we would not recommend that you do A-level business because it can be hard, but we can, again, on an individual basis, if a student has a particular passion, shows a particular skill, a particular aptitude, we can have that discussion, but generally, 99% of the time, the A-level choices you make are based on the subjects that you've already studied. And again, students must study Islamic education and Arabic language, but Arabic A-level does not include for UAE equivalency. Okay, this comes back down to your question. How do students choose which IGCSEs they like? What we don't want students to do is choose an IGCSE because their friends are doing it. You have to look at your students' passions, you have to look at your children's skills and what they want to do, and Unifrog really is an excellent starting point to triangulate all of these areas and for students to draw some conclusions and have some ideas that they should discuss with you and their teachers.
We also, as GEMS, have a website called GEMS for Life. So you can access that at home, your child can access that. And on GEMS for Life, it has lots more information about career choices and university options. And that is unique to the GEMS network. So it's just for our own GEMS parents. On there as well, there are things about future career fairs that might be coming up, or any university visits that are happening in different GEMS schools. We have held some here already.
Yep.
And we've got on Monday morning a company called iExperience coming in to speak with our students about career options, internships, enterprise, and those things as well. So this is what we support from our side, and we've now given Unifrog to your students, your children, so you can give them that information.
Okay, I'm not going to go through these in detail, but I will send them to you because there's a lot of detail in the content about what we offer in science. So as we said earlier, there's the double award, which gives you 2 IGCSEs, and the triple award, which is 3. Both of these cover biology, chemistry and physics. The triple award covers these in detail. The double award is slightly smaller, but still covers biology, chemistry and physics. So I'm not going to read through these, but just very briefly so you know the outlines around biology. At the end of grade 10, there are still 3 exams for double science, a biology paper, a chemistry paper and a physics paper. Quite often, students will have 2 exams in one day. And when students do their mock exams in March of grade 10, sometimes we'll give them 2 exams in one day just so that they can practice what it's like in the real thing. We don't decide the...
Sorry for interrupting. So the mock exam will be like from the school and you correct.
Correct.
And do everything.
Yes. Yeah, nobody else sees that. That's just for us. Yeah.
But during the COVID, they used it.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't want to go through that
So-
time, but you never know. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
So we obviously keep a record of all of those things, but what the exam board did in the second year of those kind of centre assessed grades was to send us their own practice papers as well. So if that does happen, God forbid, it will be a very rigid process.
Yeah.
But so the child should still take the mock seriously,
Yeah.
because just in case.
yes, yeah.
Okay, triple science. For triple science, they do the same basic paper that they did in double science, but then they'll take an additional paper to top up. Okay, English. Everyone does English first or second language, and then an option choice is English literature, which offers another IGCSE. And there's also an option for extra English non-IGCSE. So first language, as Ms. Siobhan said earlier, are students who have been in an English medium for a number of years. Second language is usually students who are fairly new to English.
Yeah, people who are not fluent in English by the time they're in grade 8. But again, we collect data about those students, and it will be a discussion that we have with the class teachers and maybe with parents as well.
And there are two different syllabuses. It's not like
It's not like double and triple science where you add stuff on, they're completely different.
completely separate. Yeah.
Literature is the best subject of all the subjects.
So I'll let you read that, because if your student does, or if your child is into their reading, stories, plays,
She tends to write more on her own. So she's interested in literature, yes.
so this is really for students who perhaps their English is quite weak, and we can look at that on a case-by-case basis. So mathematics, higher foundation. The content of each is the same, it has the same foundation, but the higher maths goes into more detail on the foundation topics. Again, 2 exams. Now, in the past, we have asked students if they're interested in geography and art and design, but in some cases, we haven't had many students that are interested, maybe 1 or 2. And we can't run a class of just 1 or 2 students. There's not enough to get any momentum, and we found it doesn't work. So even though we're saying at the moment, when students make their option choices, are you interested in geography? Are you interested in art? If we don't have enough students, we won't run them, and then they'll have to find a different subject. Does that make sense? I just don't want everyone to say, Mr. Prab said we will offer geography, but if there's only 2 students that want to do it, then we can't run
I
it.
think geography is a great subject to pick out. There's so much emphasis on sustainability across the globe and on people movement, socio-economics, all those things. So geography is actually very important.
Hot topic.
England is one of the optional subjects.
Correct.
Yes, it is optional. Yeah.
So we are taking that as an optional subject, or we have to choose from these.
So
You choose 2 from this list. So your child will pick 2. So the other ones Mr. Prab's spoken about, math, science, English, they're fixed.
Math, science, English is fixed.
Yep.
Fixed.
Then English literature can be 1.
that's
Yes.
one option,
And
yep.
then geography, no. With geography, you need 1 more.
No,
So if you picked English literature, you have 1 more option from this list.
But this says any 2.
so this is humanities.
Yes.
This is the humanities department now. So you can choose 2 from humanities, you can choose 1 from humanities, 1 from English literature.
And it.
So the way this is set up, we're just talking about the faculties, the departments. So previously we were talking about the options of maths, now we're just the options in humanities. But if you were to choose one of your options as geography, but your child was the only student that chose geography,
Right.
we probably won't be able to run that class. And so we'll have to say to your child, sorry, could you choose another subject, please?
Okay, then what will be the other options?
Well, any of these.
Okay.
They could have, pretty much any of these. And English literature. Yeah.
So, if the child chooses like 3 of the optional choices,
Okay.
and then after maybe 2 terms, he's thinking that he can't do 2, and he has to quit one of them.
Yeah.
Can he?
Depends on the timetable. So our timetable is set up really for 7 subjects, because we also have to include Arabic, Islamic, moral education, and a little bit of PE. There's not enough space for 8 subjects, but what we've done for some of our...
You mean he can't from the beginning choose 8?
Potentially can do, yes.
Yeah,
So
depends.
we're very lucky as a school that we've got numbers where we can look at case by case basis, and not all schools are like that. They stream the students and they say you're either in this stream, or this stream. Gem School here, we can give that personalised service. So if you came and said to me, my son or my daughter can't choose between these, he needs to do all 3, we would look at what we could do. What it would mean is maybe some classes that were a little bit later in the day,
Yes.
or maybe some morning intervention stuff, because
Yeah.
we have to have Arabic, Islamic, moral education, social studies potentially, and PE. We have to teach
You
those.
said 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moral
So-
education, Islamic, and Arabic, the MOE subjects
Yep.
are only till 9th, right? Not in 10th.
For some students,
some- yeah.
it depends on your passport
Yeah, but like we don't do Arabic, the non-Arabs.
But
We
mo-
don't have Islamic.
Moral education.
But moral education,
Moral
yeah,
education will continue in 10th also.
right the way through, and same with social studies as
even
well,
social
right the way
studies.
through.
No Arabic there.
No, after grade
Not
9.
if your child is a non-Arab passport holder, no, up to grade 9.
So
After grade 9, they can quit the Arabic if they have non-Arabic passport.
If they have non-Arabic passport.
Yes, yeah.
So what we've done in the past is that students have.
Sorry, that might change because the rules change every year.
So
Yeah.
did you say from grade 9 or from grade
From
10?
currently, from grade.
Currently, from next year.
Yes.
Okay.
But this changes all the time, and it's
Yeah.
actually reduced because it was up to grade 11, then they're
Yeah.
taking it back down again. So we have to be always
Yeah.
giving you information as of right now.
So with B, Arabic B, they have only next year to do, and then
It can go.
like the year after, they don't have to do it.
Currently, yes.
Okay.
It might.
All right. Thank you.
And just to reiterate, if a student is doing, or just to accentuate what Siobhan said, if a student does do that 8th IGC, they may be prepared. They have to be prepared to maybe come in the mornings, lunchtimes,
So
after
they can
schools.
do it.
Yes.
We can work it out.
Case by case.
We'll have that discussion.
All
We'll
right.
have to look at where that student's going, and if it fits in, we'll do our best.
I'm thinking only about the literature, the English, because it's compulsory in the UK, so that's why.
No.
No,
Did you say no?
not literature. No.
Okay.
Language.
English language.
Language.
Yes.
In England, some places you can replace one with the other. So students, if they do both, sometimes they can replace. If they do poorly in language, they can replace with literature, but not everywhere. Language is the one that's essential. But literature is the best one, so there's definitely.
Okay.
Okay. Again, I'm not going to speak about this in detail. A little bit on art and design.
Will you be teaching literature to them?
Me,
9.
I'm vice principal. I'm not allowed. They don't let me go and teach. I'm too busy. But yeah, I do some teaching.
We do have Miss Nyla, who's trained in the UK. She takes the English literature class, and she is superb.
So, sorry, ma'am?
Miss Nyla.
Oh, okay.
So she's UK trained, and yeah, she's very good.
Actually, I'm really worried about who's going to teach
Don't
them.
worry, because all of our teachers, they follow the same training program here with us in school. They get the same support. We have, just like for our students, where we give them individual attention, each of our teachers gets individual attention as well.
Yeah,
in terms
but
of
we
support
see
them.
sometimes different.
Of course, everyone's different. All the
Yeah.
children are different.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about my son who's in grade 8 now. I'm talking about the smaller one. I don't want to say which grade, but we are like having a difficult time with English.
Then
So
you must
the
come to
pronunciation
meet us.
of the teachers is not what the
So
students can grasp.
Miss Nyla is born from the UK, is trained in the UK, and she's the head of English.
I know her, yeah, she's really
Oh, you
good.
know
I'm
her,
really happy that I hope she will stay like that.
But yeah, don't get hooked on the teacher because everyone has the same support, the
Oh.
same, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, business studies. So again, 2 papers. Geography. Again, 2 papers. ICT or computers.
ICT doesn't have anything about coding or anything. This is a
There is some-
general ICT.
I think there is some coding in there, but I don't know for sure. I can find out for you or send you the syllabus.
Yes.
Yeah.
There'll be some information in the booklets about the booklet.
Is it different from the booklet that the students got?
No, same. We,
So we've got that, so I've gone through it many times just to clear my mind. So again, in ICT, is there any coding or is there no?
who's your daughter? Because I can speak to her and get her to speak to the ICT teacher, and then
Yeah, let
she
us
can
know
find
at
it
the
out.
end and then we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
because I couldn't get what is the paper 2 about.
Okay. Now, this is really important, I think. Some people are a little bit worried that IGC is going to be really hard. And if you're prepared and you meet your deadlines and you're organised, the achievement you get from passing your IGCs with a good grade is huge. Now, we know that life is not always straightforward, and the age of our students at grade 8, 9, 10, we're trying to prepare them slowly for the challenges of the world. And with all our children, we want to take the cotton wool, the protection bit by bit, not too fast, not too slow. So whilst the IGCSEs are a challenge, the growth and the skills that students gain from doing what many think is the best qualification in the world will really help set your children up for success in life. So it's important that we support them, that we understand where they need extra help, that we have that relationship where they can talk to us about anything, and by the time they get to the end of grade 10, they walk into the exam room feeling confident and ready, and when they open their results in August, they can feel really good about the achievements that they've made. So nobody's saying that it's the easiest thing, but if they're doing easy things all their lives, they're not going to be ready for the challenges of being an adult. Would you like to add anything to that, Miss?
I think this is a really good list, so don't let them just copy what their friends are choosing. And I had a really interesting conversation with them in my assembly on Monday, where I said, should you pick what your parents tell you? And some said yes, and some said no, and I said, is a case-by-case basis. Only you know your child best. You know your child, what they are good at, what they might struggle with, what they want to do. And I don't have children, but I'm sure it's very difficult managing a teenager, and what they want to do one day might be very different from what they want to do the next day. So all we can do as teachers and as parents is to listen, and I would say be open. Even if your dad was a doctor, you're a doctor, it doesn't necessarily mean that your child has the skills or the competencies to be a doctor. Please listen when they tell you they want to be a game designer or they want to be an astrophysicist instead. To be open. That's what I would say. Have this conversation in a nice place. Keep it relaxed because they might be stressed.
They are.
I understand. It's young. It feels like a lot of time.
And the other really important, just piggybacking onto what Miss said there, a student's mental state is everything. Their ability, not just in anybody's mental state, is everything. Our ability to perform, to achieve, to plan is based on a foundation of strength, happiness, and well-being. So we understand that we need to ensure that the space, the learning space that we provide, the communication and the relationships with teachers is best so that students have the maximum chance for success because they are happy, they're secure, and they're confident. And that's not secure and confident in their learning, but also in their friendships, their relationships. We try to look at the whole picture for all our students throughout their schooling, but we understand this extra pressure is something that we need to also be aware of. Okay, so other than Unifrog, here are some other places you can go. And this is in the slides that we've emailed out. So at the back, if you wanted to go to Pearson, you can also look at the syllabus there if you have any more questions other than coding questions. This is for the UK, UCAS, if you wanted to have a look at that.
When they have to prepare for the UCAS?
Oh, grade 11. Grade 12.
So first year of
they have to do it in grade 12,
Grade
but
12
when
they
they
do.
have to start preparing for it?
Well, from now. So when I met with them on Monday, we looked at how they can start to record any certificates they've got, any hobbies they have, any achievements they've made, because these are all things they will then write about in 3 years' time when they're applied to UCAS. So
Because I don't have that, like, a good picture about the UCAS actually, so.
you don't need to yet.
Okay.
Take it step by step. Don't stress.
But I
Take
think that
step
it's
by
very
step.
hard. I don't know what.
No, it's not hard. And we will support you as well. We're a group of 43 schools as a GEMS network. We have all of those 43 experiences and partnerships to draw on, and we have corporate support as well with the Gems for Life system. So your child's in the absolute best place at this school to get completely non-partial information, completely open information. Okay, so they're in the right place. Please don't worry. Relax.
And will be assessing them on their choice of subjects that they choose now.
So they will give those options back, and then Mr. Pratt will sit with the 4 tutors and they will look at the option choices, and then we will have some conversations with students. So your child might say, Miss, I don't know whether to pick geography or business.
Yeah.
And then they can go to their team. We'll say, okay, go and speak with Mr. Dapp or go and speak with Miss Sargent and ask these questions and find out. Also, have you looked at Unifrog? Have you looked on doing a careers quiz? Have you looked at how much you could earn as a geographer or a socio-economist? Can they change their options now? Yes. So
Yep.
I'll let you do this bit.
So leading on to some questions that you've already had, they're going to make their first round of option choices on Monday. And at that point, we will look at what they're interested in and we'll say, okay, so they've chosen this, this and this. What are you thinking here? Where is this leading? Or they might change their mind, and they can change their mind now. It's only when we fix the timetable and after the first week or two of September, August, that's when, no, you've made your mind up, we have to commit to this, which is why we have to do we've got 6 months of thinking now, 6 months of discussions, 6 months of negotiating, 6 months of research, 6 months of conversations. And then by the time the new term starts in August or the new year starts, we're ready.
And you say now, when is this now?
Monday.
Because of
Monday.
next Monday or last month?
Monday coming, this next Monday.
Next month.
They'll do their first round of choices.
Because my son is in G9, and I understand that he cannot change.
Is your child in grade 9? So this is for grade 8, who are now making their choices. But if we want to talk about what's happening for your child in grade 9, we can have a chat afterwards.
Well, I think he's okay.
Okay.
But the question is that, because that's why I asked you,
Yeah.
can you change their mind?
Yeah.
No, you
Say
can't. Yeah.
yes and no.
Yeah. Well, this is
When
yeah.
is this now?
So this is for grade 8 parents this weekend. As a grade 9 parent, your child would have done this process last year. So for him, he can't change
Last
now.
year, I think we don't have this.
So last year I sent this by email, but we had COVID. We didn't have
Yeah, we couldn't.
we didn't have the
But don't worry,
thing.
because if he's happy with his subjects, he will.
Well, he's
Yeah.
happy, he's doing okay.
But he can still, he has access to Unifrog already because he's grade 9. So he already has that Unifrog password, login, so he can go in and be looking at careers. He can be looking at university ideas, all of those things. So anybody now in grade 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 has access to Unifrog. Unifrog, yeah. Ask him about it. If he doesn't remember his password, go to unifrog.org, click forgot password, it will send him a new log on. So that is, again, it's not a GEMS product, but it's something that GEMS have really bought into. So I think we're the only school in Fujairah that has Unifrog access as well. So we sent PowerPoint to students. I think if he doesn't have it, you need any info, just give us a call and we'll get that out to you. Or ask his form tutor, they can send that.
Okay. Any more questions?
Have they been introduced to business studies in grade 8?
So in humanities, what happens is that most of the subject students know, they understand what ICT is, they understand. In humanities, they will have a presentation around what business studies is, but some of the projects they've done, some of the work they've done has touched on it. But they will have some information on business studies in their humanities subjects.
Next.
Sorry?
From now.
No, they'll have it from now, yeah. Okay.
First round of choice means on Monday they submit their choices.
Yes.
Yep.
You'll counsel them, you'll get back to them, and if not as per their abilities, you'll ask them to choose another.
Not just their abilities, but also, let's say your daughter is the only one doing geography, then we have to think, okay, well, that's not enough to have an energetic, quality geography class. So then we'll say, what else are you interested in? What career do you want to do? Let's see what else we can do for you.
Or go and recruit 6 friends.
Yeah. Good questions. Anything else?
None for now.
Well, if you would like to have a cup of tea and a biscuit, we'll be around for a little bit longer. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and meet us. It was really, really nice to see you all and all the good questions. If you want to ask any one-on-one questions, we'll just be over by the cups of tea. But thank you very much for your time.